especially from a black man. In 1939, they were still thinking the black man was 3/5 of a human being. They didn't even think we were confident enough. So why would they confiscate a book from some Negro or some colored seller? If they knew that the information in the book was pertinent and it had to get out. And it had to get out, or to be a defining fact. And they hid this fact to this day. And to this day, we don't know the truth. Now, this guy, Theodore P. Winthrop, went to the University of Chicago. And apparently he had gotten a part of documents. Because that University of Chicago is where they got a lot of our stuff in Egyptology. It's probably the top schools of Egyptology in this country. Because it's one of the oldest. To the same. Done by financed by the Rockefellers. So, and let me know how authentic that is when the Rockefeller, John G. Rockefeller, whatever the one, I think it's John G. Rockefeller, whatever. They built the University of Chicago. He went there to see the campus for the first time. Show you how much power that this cat had in money. He went to the University of Chicago and he said, this shit looks good. Make it over. That's the kind of money they got. He said, this place looks too new. Make it over. And they went and made the campus look old, like it was like over 200 years old. So when you go there, you would think this was stuff, some of the buildings you would think were made in the Dark Ages. Some of these buildings were made in the 1920s. Now, this guy goes to the University of Chicago, so this guy had access. If he died, he said, well, how the white man gonna get this black guy access to the documents? You gotta go back and look at the school synthesizer, though. A black man in a mop and bucket can go anywhere on this planet. Well, in this particular case with this black man, they just probably thought this something that they don't know about. He's probably some old cornbread Christian. So he was able to access stuff because they didn't think that he was competent enough. You see what I'm saying? To even know what he was doing. And so out of his research at the University of Chicago, which he had at his disposal, but at that time, black people were even considered intellectuals. You know what I'm saying? He was able to go in and put this information together in a book. And the information was that after the last conquest of Egypt by the Arabs, the last invasion of Egypt was the Arabs that occupied Egypt or Kemet to this day. That they had a whole influx of Egyptians. Some went to Nubia, some went on, but a lot of them didn't go back into Nubia because they had campaigns with Nubians for years and fights or whatever type things here. They went on over to West Africa. And the same goes that we know that because the Dogon said that they came from Egypt during the time of Timbuktu. Mm-hmm. So they went to West Africa. And apparently these people had to have been such a magnificent people in their culture and a godlike people, just in the essence of these people. Till and we see a little bit of this is happening right here today. I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a few minutes. Until the West Africans got jealous. This is this guy's research. Well, if it's a lie, why did the government come in and confiscate all the books? We didn't even know it until one person kept a book. One person in the black community kept a book. And I got a Xerox copy of a book. And this book was written in 1939, and it's the most, I've never seen a Xerox copy this beautiful. It was almost like the spirit said we have to preserve this so that we can do it now. I received the book in 1999, and I got the book to this day. And he said that these godlike Egyptians was over in Africa, over in West Africa, but they were still considered homeless because their culture was abandoned. But they said that the people, the West Africans, got jealous of them. Until when the scene shifted years later and the slave trade had started, these were some of the first Africans that they give to the Europeans. So as far as some of the chiefs or the kings of their particular civilization in West Africa, the first thing they did is say, let's get up all the homeless people. If we don't like them, no, we hate them anyway. And as a result, these are some of the people they gave up, were some of the first ones to come to the Americas, which ended up being, as you believe, the black man in the Western Hemisphere, but mainly the African American. So when you ask this particular question, what is up on these particular Africans, well, it said in the prophecy, out of Egypt I will call my son. It also says in the Hermetic text that these people, there will be a group of Africans that will be here in the days nearing the end, or what they call the last days of a remote future. And they will reestablish Maya. Well, you say, well, how do we know that that's actually happening? Because you got to ask yourself this question. What other people on this planet tap back into Kemet and tap back into our ancient history? The Africans ain't doing it.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? Basically, no other black people on the planet is doing it. The evidence, you will know a tree based on the fruit it bears or the seeds. The evidence is us.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? But they said that it would be a group of Egyptians that will be here in the last days. You see what I'm saying? So that's what's going on when it comes to this type of thing. They're not the people. And I don't meet any of them to suggest of any type of genius that they would be the people. As a matter of fact, most of the ones that was allowed to come out of Africa only as good as they're only good at emulating the white man. You see. Now I say that for this reason. Now I'm not talking down to the African. I don't want to judge, but I want to do some things that's obvious. And that's this. The Africans need to come clean. We hear these stories about how all these Africans, when they finally, every now and then they'll meet a black person in their life that they trust. Very few, but when this anomaly happens, and they meet a black person that they trust or they respect, when I say black person, I'm talking about the black man in America. When they meet a person that they respect or meet a person that they feel they can confide in, they always come up with this same story. Now, our people have been hearing this story, at least, I know these stories started coming at least from the 1970s. Because when I got in college, I met a brother who veered me into consciousness that was in college in the early 1970s. And he was one of these brothers they told this story to, about how the white man comes over there and show us films and pit us and show us how you are lazy and shiftless and show us all this propaganda. And show us all this propaganda. And our people believe it. And yet, we live amongst these Africans and they never tell us this type of stuff. If you know this is not to be the truth of, well, some of them actually believe it and show you that the white man stuff really does work. Because some of the people, most of them believe it to this day. So just like we believe in certain indoctrinations, they believe this to this day. And all it takes for them to get off the boat or the plane or what have you and see one black person over here that fits that stereotype or what that doggone indoctrination that they got from the Europeans and the different people or the different European faction that come over and tell them, including America. And they only need one example of that to say we are all that way. Now, I heard it myself. This was told